It's not very often that we get the big guy here, but welcome. And I hope you guys are as excited about that as I am. A lot to talk about. So we're going to actually do what we always do, though. First is as people are coming in, love to just get to the Telegram group. I love the energy. I love when Mark does this. It just creates a level of energy. Guys, in the Telegram group, let us know, guys. Where are you coming in from, guys? You know the deal. Do that, and then we'll start going from there. So, Philippines is here. Love it. SoCal, Chicago, Brazil. Love it, guys. Come on in, man. Like a CPA. Dallas, Texas. I'm from Philly, so sorry about that, Dallas, Texas. No. I actually love the city, though. Love being there. But guys, Texas again. Okay, Vancouver, Australia. It's officially an international party. Oh, got it. Florida, Nigeria. Welcome, guys. Welcome.
Okay.
Welcome. You guys are coming in. SoCal, home of the Beach Boys. Got it. All right, man. So yeah, guys, as you keep coming in, just kind of go into the Telegram group, let people know where you're coming in from. We're going to give it about another minute or so, and then we will get going. I'm going to make an announcement here at the top that I think everybody's going to find significant. So we just want to make sure everybody's up to date, and we will be talking about it again in some posts, et cetera, et cetera. UK is here, New Jersey's here, Virginia's here. We see you. Thanks for being here. Houston,
Jamaica.
if missed, Jamaica is here. What's up? Vienna, Austria. It was funny. It said good morning, and I thought it was, and I saw a V, and I just thought good morning Vietnam, but it's good morning.
Right.
So again, another Nigeria. So guys, welcome. I love the international flavor of this because I think it's so natural for people to forget. That's one of the most powerful things about crypto, right? Is that it can go all around the world very, very quickly. So welcome to the call, guys. Good to see you. Good to see you. Listen, I think we're going to get started. So let me hit the record button and then we're going to go. So give me 1 second here. All right. And record to the cloud.
Recording in progress.
Awesome, guys. Well, once again, I appreciate you being here, Silsano family. My name is Brian Lyles. I'm being joined by our founder, Mr. David Track. So
Everybody.
Excited to be here. He's going to be actually chiming in here as we go through this, and we're talking about a few things. And then at the end, we'll have some closing remarks from Mr. Track. But I know as we're going, he's also going to be communicating with you guys in the Telegram group. So that's going to be very cool as well to make sure that everybody understands everything that's going on. So this is an interesting day for us because we know that there were a lot of people, or there were, and I shouldn't say a lot because I guess it's all proportional, right? There's not a lot of people compared to what's happened in version 2. But for version 1, for those of you who even know what that means, and I know some of you don't, right? But quickly, for those of you who know what that means, the people who were with us in version 1, one of the things that Mr. Track promised, because he wanted to make sure that he was always doing the right thing, the thing that was the most integrous and helping the most people, is that we would return all of the tokens for the people that lost their tokens in version 1. And that was what was referred to as the airdrop. Was once we got to version 2, we would do an airdrop. People would be able to get those tokens back. They would get the same amount of tokens, not just the value of the tokens at the time. So that was like, potentially very generous, right? And it just works out that it is very generous because the price right now is a lot higher than what the price was when those tokens actually were lost. So that's a pretty good deal for everyone. But again, it was appreciating the loyalty, appreciating the community, the love that was shared at that moment, and the understanding that came from everybody. So here's what we did. We got a lot of feedback. So a lot of feedback. In fact, I think I may be understating that, but we got a lot of feedback from a lot of the leaders, and not just the leaders who were in version 1. We got feedback from them, but also leaders who were not in version 1, leaders who were not here when that all happened. But it seemed that they all pretty much agreed, which was interesting, even though it did, it was going to impact some people and not impact some other people, that there was a lot of concern within the community that why everybody was out and they were excited and they were buying. And, even as some people were trying to sell some tokens, the community was excited about getting tokens and they were dropping up the price. that there was concern that once that airdrop happened, especially if it happened all at once, that there might be a lot of selling that would happen all at once, and it would deflate the price of the token. And a lot of people, some people were concerned about that because they're really kind of living on the moment of from edge to edge, second to second, what happens to the price. Other people who were more savvy and big time, some of our big time investors that were about to come in said, well, I'll tell you what, I mean, if something's going to happen and it's going to deflate the value of the token, I'll just wait until that happens, and then I'll buy up even more tokens at a cheaper price. That actually makes sense to me from an investor standpoint. But as a result, a lot of people just kind of pressed the pause button because they were like, oh man, I don't know. And it was causing a lot of anxiety. So we talked to some of the leaders. We heard from them. We heard some of the solutions that they proposed. Once we came up with a solution that we thought made sense and was the most fair for the community as a whole, which, from Mr. Track just taking his lead, that's always the thing. What is the most fair for the community, right? Not for a particular individual at any time. But what we realized was there were a couple of things that were going to happen. So we decided, that, hey, here's what we're going to do. And there was a webinar that happened earlier that Mark Ross did. We were present, but Mark Ross basically directed the majority of that webinar. He talked to many of the people who were in version 1. If you were in version 1 and you missed that webinar, you can get with your upline and they can get you the recording of the webinar because it has a lot of detail and it's going to answer a lot of your questions that you might have. Also, if you don't have an upline, right? If you just kind of came directly to the project back in version 1 and you're on this webinar right now, you can send an email to sos@sosana.io. Again, sos@sosana.io, letting them know that you are version 1. You did not get a chance to see the video, and they'll send that video out to you because it impacts you. It does not impact anybody who was not from version 1. So it's something specifically for you. But ultimately, I'm just going to give you some high level points, guys, because this is what does impact the people that are in version 2 as well. What has been decided is that what they're going to roll out the tokens to all of the people, all the tokens that they're owed over a 30-day rollout schedule. So if you had 3,000 tokens, or if you had 3,000 tokens over 30 days, you would get 100 tokens every single day. And over that 30 days, you would get your 3,000 tokens. The reason why we're doing this is because it completely takes away this concern that so many people have had. So hopefully you guys are doing a little bit of an Excel of this big dump that was going to happen potentially and this price impact. There's only two types of people, right? There's a type of people that are waiting on their tokens who literally believe that this is going to be $10, $50, $100, and they don't care because they had no intention of selling their tokens anyway. That's all the big leaders who actually have the biggest tranche of tokens. And then there probably are some people who are like, hey, man, I got to get those tokens because I am going to sell them. So even if they are selling them, it kind of lessens that impact on a day-to-day basis. So you don't have to have this concern. So this is good news for the community. It's good news for the investors that are waiting at the door that want to come in heavy and are going to drive our price for us. It's good news for everyone. So guys, ultimately, that's going to happen. And the only thing that's going to happen before that is a verification process. We went back and, looking at this, and again, a lot of this is covered in the video. I don't want to dominate this entire thing, with this one announcement. It's covered in the video that you're going to get access to if you were in version 1. But, we went back. We had our programmers, they did some scraping tech. It's beyond me. I'm not even going to try to make it sound like I understand everything that they did, but they scraped some stuff. They got some data from the blockchain and they came back and said, okay, based off of what we're seeing, here's all the wallets. Here's what's due in all of the wallets. But they did tell us that there was some people who, after that breach happened, they still went out and bought some more tokens, sold some tokens, transferred some tokens, etc. So those are some periods when you're going back to the exact time they're able to go back to, but they want to make sure that there's no confusion and no expectations from those people that anything that happened at the breach after the breach would be counted. It's once the breach happened, it was what amount of tokens you had then. So they're going to request some information from you that you can send in, and that's all going to be emailed in. And again, that's in the video, guys, but you can email this information in, and it's some information that's been requested about the wallets, the amounts that you're expecting to receive back, and blah 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 blah. They're going to do a basic comparison and accounting. Anything that doesn't match up, someone will reach out to you directly. It'll probably be Mark Ross, might even be Mr. Track, but probably going to be Mark Ross. Reach out directly with you, go through it with you, and just get to the same page so everybody's clear on that. The second that happens, then we actually do the 30-day rollout. And again, it's going to be a process that will happen every day. You'll get 1/30th of your tokens. And over the period of that month, you guys will be made whole. You'll get all your tokens, which is great. Everything that you're due, you'll get them at these inflated prices, which is cool as well for you. But also because we're spreading it out like that, we're doing the best thing for the community as a whole. And this allows everybody else to get back to business, which is being excited about going out and just accumulating as many Solana tokens as they can. So with that said, guys, I hope that answers that question. I want to kind of shift gears here for a moment.
Hey, Brian, if I could just say, just
please do, sir.
Just
please
before
do.
you shift gears, I just want everybody to know that I posted in the Telegram group all the instructions on what to write, what to say, the email, everything's right there. So you don't have to wait until the video gets dropped to know that. So it's all right there in plain sight. And there's a few questions popping up here, but I guess we'll address that at the end of the call. But go ahead and do your thing, brother. You got it, man.
Okay, good stuff, guys. So I wanted to share with everyone a couple of things. I'm going to share my screen here for a second that I think might be really, really helpful, to many of you. Again, I know we've got some crypto geniuses here, as always, and I love that. I love that we have these crypto geniuses. But Dave, can you see my screen? It says Solana.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, fantastic, right? But it's just interesting because as we're going through this journey, we're realizing more and more as we talk to more and more people that we have a wide range of people. Some people this is my first project I've ever been involved in the crypto space. This is my first entree to it. And I love that. I love the fact that this is the one that got people to finally kind of take the plunge. We've got some other people that are somewhere in the middle where they've done some things before in the crypto space, but they've never really learned about it. Somebody called up and said, hey, this is going to be hot, throw some money in. They've thrown some money in and maybe it worked out for them, maybe it didn't, but now they want to start learning. And we've got some other people that are superstars. So I wanted to just share a couple things with you guys because a question I've seemed to have gotten a lot here lately, and I almost felt like, man, are we assuming that people know too much and maybe we should just sometimes simplify? I got this question from a lot of people, man, which is, how is the token price determined? Somebody called me up really frantic too this morning, and they were like, I'm looking at the chart, I see it goes up, it goes down, I don't understand. I know people are buying, but how does that actually work? I keep asking people, nobody seems to be able to give me an answer that makes sense to me. And because I was like, well, there's buy pressure, there's sell pressure. I've heard Mr. Mark Ross say it over and over again. They were like, yeah, but so I said, listen, here's how it works. And I explained it to her, and I did it in a very rudimentary explanation. And she said, I think a lot of other people, would appreciate knowing that. So I said, okay, cool. Right. So let me just put it into a really, really brief presentation. Now, I'm going to say to all of you rock stars that crypto like the back of your hand, probably more about crypto in your pinky than I have in my body. I am intentionally trying to do a very simplified explanation. So please, no need to go into Telegram and say, well, you're not thinking about price impact and slippage. Okay, I understand, but I'm trying to get people to understand this concept, because I think once they understand the concept, they understand what their role could be in affecting the price, which is important when you're trying to get a community on the same page. So the first thing I want you guys to understand is this, when we talk about liquidity pool, because this is something I think it's just basic math. If you think about the equal sign, everything has to be equal on both sides. So when you have a brand new token like Solana, right, the marketplace is basically saying, we don't know what the value is. What are you saying the value is? How do you determine the value? And what we're doing is saying we're putting our money where our mouth is, right? We have something that you already know what the value is. Now, Solana was built on the Solana network. Okay. So therefore we use Solana tokens who already have an established value. But for the purpose of this, just understand this. In essence, we said, okay, let's say we have $100,000, and I'm just using an example. This is not what we did. This is not what we did exactly, but I want to use even numbers so it makes easy sense to you. So we said, hey, let's just say we had $100,000, and we said we're going to put $100,000. Again, it's crypto, so it'll be $100,000 worth of Solana, but that's not important, right? So we have $100,000 on this side of the equal sign, and then on the other side of the equal sign, we put in 100,000 Solana tokens. Now the marketplace says, okay, so you're saying 100,000 Solana tokens has an equivalent value to $100,000. So quick math will say, hey, then one Solana is equal to $1. It's that simple, right? So hopefully that makes sense to people. Now, if you can understand that, everything else I'm about to say is easy. It's easy. And I just want people to get it into their mind. Like, even though they use terms like liquidity pool and it's easy once you can get it down to the very basics, right? So we got $100,000 equals 100,000 Solana. Then that means, okay, now we've created the market for it. One Solana equals $1. Now, somebody comes along and says, man, that's awesome. I think the Solana project is cool. I think it's going to eventually go up and be worth way more than $1. So I want to get in now and I want to buy some Solana. So he says, hey, I want to buy $10,000 worth of Solana, or not. I want to buy 10,000 Solana is what he wants to do. He wants to buy 10,000 Solana. So think about what needs to be done for this gentleman to buy 10,000 Solana. He has to say, I'm going to put something in there, right, to take out 10,000 Solana. So the question is, what is 10,000 Solana worth? Well, if one Solana equals $1, 10,000 Solana would be worth $10,000. Now, this is where I'm talking to the experts, guys. Excuse me for those of you who are learning right now. I just want to talk to the experts. This is where don't talk to me about price impact and slippage, please. We're just going basic concept, okay? I know, but here's the basic concept. I want to buy 10,000 Solana. One Solana is $1. I'm going to spend $10,000, which I would put into the pool so that I can take out 10,000 Solana. So we're saying 100,000 Solana is equal to these. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 of these. So let's say each one of these tokens here represents 10,000 Solana. Okay. So easy way to figure it out graphically. So now here's what happens. He takes out, so we exit off 10,000 Solana. So in this case, it looks like one of these tokens represents 10,000 Solana. We've got 9 left. So that's 90,000 Solana left there. And he puts in his $10,000 that he exchanged for that 10,000 Solana. Well, now the pool says, hey, remember, everything on both sides of the equal sign have to equal. So before it was 100,000 Solana equals $100,000. So one Solana equals $1, but the math has changed. Now it's $110,000 is equal to 90,000 Solana. More money, less tokens, right? So when we redo the math and say, okay, so let's figure it out then. When we take 110,000 and divide it by 90,000, what do we come up with? And we figure out that now one Solana is equal to $1.22. That's positive price pressure. That's when we say buy pressure, right? That's what's happening. More people are coming in and buying, and the buy pressure means there's more money going in, more tokens coming out, which means the price is being reset, and ultimately the price is going up. That's how that works. So when you see the price going up, it's because people are buying, or let's just look at this. They're removing tokens from the equation on one side and adding money to the equation on the other side. And therefore, the tokens that are remaining are more valuable. And your token supply that you're sitting with in your own wallet is now also, ergo, more valuable, because this is the master formula, if that's what makes sense to you guys. Now, let's go the other way. Let's say once again, we're back to the $100,000 is equal to 100,000 Sosana. One Sosana equals $1. And somebody comes along and says, I want to sell my 10,000 Sosana tokens that I have. I know that they're worth $1 right now. I want to get the $10,000 into my pocket. So I want to sell. It's the same thing in reverse. That person now will say, if they're selling their Sosana tokens, they are in essence giving their 10,000 Sosana tokens into the pool, which takes it from 100,000 Sosana to 110,000 Sosana tokens. And they are removing their $10,000 from the pool from the other side of the equal sign. So now all of a sudden, a recalculation has to happen on the price. The system looks at it and says, okay, there's $90,000 on one side. We divide that by the 110,000 tokens on the other side. And now one Sosana is equal to 82 cents. They sold, they put in sell pressure, the price went down. Now, again, oversimplification. There are some other things like, about that's going to happen with price impact and things of that nature. But what I just explained to you is just what happens. That's how the price is determined. So when we talk about buy pressure, sell pressure, it's more people buying, price going up, more people selling, price going down. Equalized, price doesn't move, but normally, especially when you get to more of a mature liquidity pool situation, a mature community, the price is always moving up and down. There's always people buying and selling, the price moving up and down. And when you have a lot of buys happening in a row, and more people deciding to hold their tokens, you're going to get much more positive price pressure. When you have people dumping more tokens for some reason, right, you're going to have much more negative price pressure. That's it. So if you can understand that, you now understand what's going on behind the scenes. So you understand that if your goal, if you have a goal, if your goal is, hey, I got my Sosana tokens at, 30 cents, and I want to get 10x at least, and at that point, I'm going to take out some profits and keep going for the ride, then you're hoping for more and more positive price pressure. You're hoping that more people are going to want to buy Sosana. Now, how do you do that, right? It's not just hoping that the people who already know about it are going to keep spending more and more of their money. That many people are, because they're in a massive accumulation mindset. A lot of these guys that we have here right now are like, I want to get a 50,000, I want to get 100,000, I want to get 200,000, keep buying till I have it, right? But also more people hearing about it, getting excited and showing up and saying, hey, I want to be involved too. I got to buy some tokens to be involved. Now you have more buyers, more people entering into the market. That's more positive price pressure, guys. If you understand that, man, first of all, if that makes sense to you, let me open up the Telegram for a second. If that makes sense to you at a rudimentary level, tell me that it makes sense to you guys. Just let me just say, somebody say yes, give me a yes, a yep, a why, something so I know that, okay, great. Well, Professor said
yep.
So it must be a pretty good explanation, because I know he knows a lot more about this than me. So awesome, man. Awesome. So okay, so guys are getting it. That's it, man. I wanted to share that with you because, again, I had so many people asking, and I said, man, let's just start educating the community right now. As you're about to see here in a second, educating the community is going to be what we're all about. So that is that. Now, the second thing I want to do, again, I don't want to take all night. So the second thing I wanted to do is share with you guys something that happened recently. And it's many of you who have been in this industry, in this space for a while, about this thing called the napkin presentation. As I was coming up as a network marketer, this was like, to me, when I first heard about this and learned about this kind of changed my life, because I realized that it made me think in terms of simplicity, that I could sit down with a friend, at a restaurant, and I could just open up a napkin, like, as you imagine, just unfold a napkin, have a pen, and say, let me show you what I'm doing, right? And just kind of explain the concept in like simple graphics or simple words or pictures and everything to show them what it is that I'm doing and to get them excited, right? And then they could just take the napkin with them, if they wanted to, or they could throw it in the trash if they weren't interested. But this is a great thing, and I was really excited because this weekend, in fact, my wife and I got together with two friends of ours that we hadn't seen in a while, and we have this diner just serves the greatest breakfast on the planet. And so we always, whenever we meet up, we always want to go there because we used to go there a lot years and years ago, and we still go there. And we were there, and my buddy's at the table, and he says, "So what are you doing these days?" And I said, "Oh man, I'm doing this project called Sosana, man. It's incredible." And he said, "Well, what is it?" And my wife, she had to look in her eye. Here he goes. He's got here he goes, right? And I said, "Hey, he asked, baby, he asked." I mean, fish got to swim, birds got to fly. We got
Salesman got to sell
with it, right? We got to do within our nature. So I grabbed, I said, "Hey man, let me show you." So I didn't have a pen. The server came over. I said, "Hey, do you have an extra pen?" She was like, "Sure." I said, "You're not going to get it back for a while. So is that okay?" And she said, "Yeah, I got lots of pens." And I said, "Great, man." And I sat down with him next to him, and they weren't even paying attention. They weren't even paying attention. My wife was probably just saying he can't help himself. And I shared with him what it was that we were doing. Well, I told someone the story later that day, and as I was telling them, they started saying, "What did you say? Okay, how did you say it?" Okay, so what are you doing? They said, "I'm taking notes." And I'm like, "You're taking notes? Maybe I should have saved the napkin for you." And they said, "I wish I could have seen that." So, guys, I'm going to give you the visual depiction of what I actually shared with them, right? So you can see it. I mean, because sometimes I know we're on here talking about it, but sometimes when you can just see stuff and the images kind of stick on your mind, it kind of clarifies what you're doing and what you're thinking. And then hopefully this will help you guys have a better understanding of it and maybe even give you some idea or concept of how to share it, or maybe you can just share this video with people afterwards. So, I said, "Hey man, I'm working with this company. It's called Sosana." He knows he doesn't know a lot about crypto, but he understands crypto, right? But he doesn't know a ton about it, but he does know what crypto is. And he knows that there's a lot going on, and he knows a lot of people are making money. He also knows a lot of people are losing money. So it actually made sense for Sosana, right? And I said, "Man, I said, here's the cool thing just to start off. And I wrote this down. It stands for shiny object syndrome and nothing accomplished," which he thought was hysterical, right? He was like, "Okay." That's kind of unique. He said, "But yeah, I bet you a lot of people vibe with that." And I was like, Absolutely." And I drew a bunch of arrows because this was not the first time I did this. And I said, "So here's what it is," right? I said, "Sosana has this really cool, excited, and committed community." So I wrote community down on the page, and I said, "They got this really cool, committed, and excited community." And the reason why these guys are committed and excited, now you're going to think this is funny when I first say it, because before I tell you the next thing, but the reason why they're really excited is because every time they buy Sosana tokens, they sell Sosana tokens, they transfer Sosana tokens, they're charged the 3% tax. And I always hesitate because I know that makes no sense to anyone, that someone will be excited about that. And it's kind of like, I say, "Yeah, kind of crazy, right? They're kind of crazy, right?" And he's like, "Yeah. What's the catch?" I said, "Well, I'm not going to talk about what happens to all, because it's not germane to this conversation. I just want to get to the hot feature, because I think this is the coolest thing that I've ever seen and ever been a part of." I said, "So here's the deal, man. It's 3%, but 1%, right? So 1/3 of that is going into this thing called a degen voter wallet." I said, "It's a digital wallet." He said, "Yeah, I know what I said, "Great. So it's going into this degen voter wallet." I said, "And here's how this works, man. Just kind of picture this." I said, "Everybody who's holding $500 of Sosana or more, they're going to get, every 2 weeks we run this process, they're going to be able to nominate tokens," right? We're on a Solana network. So it's going to be a token project from the Solana network, and they get to look at that, study it, find the very best project that they can find. It's normally going to be an up and coming project, something that they think is hot. They love what it does, or they know the team behind it, or blah, 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 a whole bunch of different features, how they evaluate. But then they're going to come and nominate this, and they want to pick the best project that they can because they want to win. Okay. And as long as you have $500 worth of, you're holding this in your wallet or more, you're in position to nominate, okay? And we're going to take 25 nominations, at least in the beginning. We might change that later, but in the beginning, we'll take up to 25 nominations. He said, okay, got it. I said, now, anybody who's holding $50 or more of Sosana, they get to vote, right? And I said, it's a locked, closed system, right? We don't know what's going on. We can't put our fingers on the scale or anything. It's all being done through this DApp. I don't know if you know what that is. Descent. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The point is, it's a secure, closed system. Nobody can see who anybody else is voting for. So they're looking at these 25 projects, and they're trying to figure out, in their estimation, from their research, which one is the best, so that they can hopefully pick the project that the most amount of people pick, so they can win, because winning is cool. And now here's where it gets interesting. You ready? He said, yeah, I'm ready. I said, okay, great. I said, on Monday, so this is a 2-week process. So we come finally to what we're going to call DGen Voter Monday, right? Because it's going to be exciting. Because at 7:00 p.m. on that Monday, 7:00 p.m. Eastern, because we got people from all over the world, we're going to actually release to every single person in the entire community who has $50, who's holding $50 Solana or more. They're all going to be able to see whether they voted or not. Hopefully they voted because they wanted to win the vote, but whether they voted or not, we're going to tell them, hey, here's the winner, right, of the thing, right? Here's the winner. And here's how that gets exciting. I said, because let's say it was XYZ token that won. I don't know why, by the way, guys, just aside, I don't know why I always say XYZ token. I don't know. I made it up one time and it just made sense. Eventually, there'll actually probably be an XYZ token, I guess. I don't know, but I always just say XYZ token. So let's say it was XYZ token that won, right? And I said, and let's say that our DGen voter wallet has accumulated over that 2 weeks $100,000. Here's what we're going to do, right? And this is why people are trying to do the best job they can do nominating and the best job they can do voting, because here's what's going to happen. We're letting everybody know at 7:00, right, who the winner is, how much money is in that DGen voter wallet, and then we're letting them know that what we're going to do for the winners is at 8:00, we're going to buy $100,000. We're going to liquidate this wallet, right? Whatever's in there, 100,000, 10,000, a million, whatever's in there, we're going to liquidate this wallet and buy the winning token. So in this case, we would buy $100,000 of XYZ token, and we will split it evenly among the winners. So quick math will tell you, if there were 100 people that voted for the right project and we have 100 winners, we buy $100,000 worth of XYZ token. We give each one of them $1,000 of XYZ token. And he was like, I said, do you understand it? He was like, yeah, I understand it. I said, excellent. Is that not the coolest thing you've ever heard of? He said, well, I mean, it's cool, right? I mean, it's cool. So you're saying that every 2 weeks, right? People have the opportunity to pick a project, and they can win. And they only need to hold $50, and what they win could be far more than the $50. I said yes, and he said, yeah, it's cool. I don't know if it's the coolest thing I've ever heard of, but I'm happy for you, man, that you're excited about it. And I said, you don't get it, do you? He said, what are you talking about? I said, okay, let me ask you a question. What do you think is going to happen to the price of XYZ token when we buy $100,000 of it? And he said, it's going to go up. And I said, yeah, I mean, we can't make guarantees, but I think most people would agree with you. He said, no, it's going to go up. And I said, okay, you're the authority. Okay, it's going to go up. I said, great. So you answered that first question. Okay, so $100,000 purchase of XYZ token, you believe it's going to go up. He said, it's definitely going to go up. I said, okay, great. Second question, seems like a trick question, but it's not. How much time exists between 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock? So 7 o'clock when we told you what we were going to do, and 8 o'clock when we actually do it. And he looks at me and he says, holy crap. Now, being fair, he didn't say crap, but I'm going to be cool for the thing. We're going to go with holy crap. And I said, now you're getting it. I said, because between 7:01 and 7:59, what are you very likely to do? He said, I'm going to buy some XYZ token. I said, yeah, you are, aren't you? And I said, how much are you going to buy? He said, you know me, bro. Like, I'll probably go in for a couple of grand, man. Maybe more. He was like, holy crap. Again, didn't say crap, but we're going to go with crap. And I said, now you got it. And he said, how many people know about this? And I said, well, listen, the community, I just told you, right? The community is going to, anybody who had $50 or more is all going to have the ability to know about this at 7 o'clock. I said, so let's think about this for a second, because you think most people would agree with you that if they knew that $100,000 purchase was going to happen, that in all likelihood, the price, just like you said, would probably go up. Can't guarantee it, right? But that's probably what's going to happen. He said, of course they would. Of course they would. And I said, okay. So you're excited about this $100,000 purchase. And he said, yeah. And I said, and you were saying you would probably buy a couple $1,000s, hoping to get a big price bump and be able to make some profits. He said, yeah. I said, so let's say that we had 10,000 people in the community that knew about this. And let's say none of them are ballers like you who are just going to throw thousands of dollars. Let's say that on average, maybe some of them throw a little, hundreds, and some of them throw, tens of dollars, whatever. But let's just say on average, those 10,000 people put in $100 each of buying XYZ token between 7:01 and 7:59. I said, do you realize that's $1 million? And his eyes got big. And I said, if you think 100,000 at 8 o'clock is gonna take the price up, what do you think $1 million between 7:01 and 7:59 is going to do to the price? You guys already know what he said, right? You know what he said. Yes, he said it again. And I said, man, now, if $1 million in this example went in between 7:01 and 7:59, do you believe that other people that are currently a part of the crypto world who don't know anything about Solana, anything about XYZ token, but all of a sudden see XYZ token pop up on their trending category? XYZ token has increased 3,000% in the last 15 minutes. Do you think some of them are going to be fear of loss and they're going to jump in too? He is like, oh man, we are going to be rich. It's exactly what he said. We are going to be rich. And I said, that is the plan. That is the plan. Now, I know what a lot of you guys are thinking. Man, that's a big napkin. You're right. I had to turn the napkin over and do this part of it, right? But I know, but that was the napkin part of the napkin presentation. So then he said, well, let me ask you this, man. Let me ask you this. And I knew when he said this, I was going to have to grab my wife's napkin. How can I get involved? Man, how can I really get involved, man? Seriously, like really take this all the way. And I said, well, I know you're like an all-in guy. You've got some experience or whatever, but check this out, man. This is for people from all different levels, And I said, so, the first way a person can get involved is just completely passive, right? They could buy some tokens, tuck them away, check back in 6 months to a year, right? I think it will be a great decision, right? Again, we can't make the guarantee, but you just saw what we're doing, right? Where do you think the price of the Solana token would be probably in 6 months to a year as more and more people are finding out about this and they all want to be a part of it? He said, yeah, I think it's going to be through the roof. I said, okay, so if you believe that, but you don't have time, you don't want to be involved, you just want to maybe get something that can make you some money for the future, completely passive, buy some tokens, as many as you want, right? Blah, 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 blah. And he said, okay. And I said, here's another thing though. You could buy and vote. You could buy $50 or more. Okay. Yeah. I mean, more is completely up to you, but at least $50, right? So you have at least $50 of tokens at all time, so you can be involved in the DGen voting business every 2 weeks, right? Vote every 2 weeks and see if you win. I mean, that would be cool. You got $50 in there, but you win. Maybe you get $80, of XYZ token. Maybe you get 500. Maybe you get 1,000. Maybe in the future you get more. Who knows, right? But that's a pretty good thing to have, especially as the value of your Solana token could be potentially going up. But now you've got another way to make profits just by involving yourself in this vote once every 2 weeks. It's a great way for you to potentially build a portfolio, make some additional money, have some additional profits. I said the third way is you could buy, vote, play. BVP, I call it. Buy, vote, play. I actually wrote BVP, but I put it up here for you guys so you can see what it actually means. You can buy, vote, play. Buy $50 or more, vote every 2 weeks, see if you win, and also position yourself during what I like to call action hour, 7:01 to 7:59, right? Right after you found out until right before you know that this big buy is going to happen, and see if you can increase your crypto profits, right? Again, we're not allowed to make guarantees, man. I'm actually part of the team that's doing this. So we got to be real careful how we say this. We can't promise or make guarantees, but I asked you what you thought was going to happen, and you did not hesitate saying that price is going to go up. You even challenged me when I said maybe. You said definitely, right? You said, yeah, it's going to go up. I said, okay, there you are. I know you're the expert, not me. So buy, vote, play. Said the other way you might want to get involved, though, you can buy, vote, play, and become an affiliate, man. So you buy, you vote every 2 weeks, you get involved in Action Hour, but you also become an affiliate with us and earn additional Solana tokens by sharing this with others because you're helping us build the community. As you might imagine, bigger that community get. I showed you what would happen if we had 100,000 in the DGen voter wallet and 10,000 people in the community spend $100. Imagine if we had 1 million in a DGen voter wallet, 100,000 people in the community each spending $100 in an hour. Think about that math. Think about those numbers. Think about what that could potentially do to the price of a token. Think about what that could do to skyrocket your profits. Anybody helping us do this, man, they have a lot of extra value, not just for themselves, but also to the community as a whole. So yeah, there's definitely a way for you to get some additional Solana tokens there, man, and to kind of build up your Solana mass accumulation faster than any of the first three. I said the final way, man, though, is you can buy, vote, play, become an affiliate, and build to the whale level, brother. You do all that other stuff we just talked about, but now you're setting yourself up to earn huge quantities of Solana tokens by helping to develop other leaders who are going to go out there and do the same stuff. Any questions? And he said, yeah. 2, what the heck is an affiliate, right? And what are you talking about whale level? I don't know if I missed that. He's looking on the other side of the napkin. He's like, I don't know if I missed it. I said, no. Good questions, man. Good questions. So here's the thing. We have this affiliate program that we are setting up to launch, man, that is going to do something better than everybody else out there. It's going to build community. It's going to, first of all, we've got this incredible aspect of it just from an educational standpoint. And by the way, guys, that you're watching this right now live or watching this on video, you are now privy to getting the first look at our LMS site, where this is the actual LMS demo site that we put together for affiliates, where it's going to show you how you can educate yourself, right? So this is just a small piece of what we're doing. I wanted to share this, so I got permission from Mr. Track to share this with everybody tonight. But again, I didn't draw this out on the napkin. I just told him, I said, but hey, we're going to have people. It doesn't matter whether you are a person who barely can spell cryptocurrency, who doesn't even know when we say BTC, what that means. You don't know that that's Bitcoin, right? Or a person who's been around and is, fairly experienced, or a person who is a flat out genius in crypto. We got a place for you, because for the people who can barely spell it and don't understand it, we're going to have all these courses where they can learn the ins and outs of crypto, learn how to pick better projects. So they're not only helping themselves, in essence, have a better shot at winning when we're doing the DGen vote, but they're also becoming more valuable to the community, because the more people that are educated in doing this, the better we're going to be at nominating quality projects, picking quality projects, ultimately helping people build their portfolio better, et cetera, but ultimately upping people's crypto and blockchain game, because crypto and blockchain is the future. And for those superstar geniuses, man, who already know this stuff, who were the early adopters, man, who have crypto in their blood, they're going to have the opportunity to become Solana certified instructors, which creates a whole new potential revenue stream for them, because now they can actually teach classes and they can get in there and they can provide more value to the community, and they can be paid as instructors once they get certified. That's it's going to be real cool, man. The way it's going to interact, people have different badges that show their different accomplishments and things of that nature. Everybody's going to, do you know what KYC is? He was like, no. I said, well, it's a way for us to know that we're dealing with real people and not pretend people, not scammers, not bots. People will be KYC'd so we can actually work with each other within the community. It's going to be safe for everybody so they can learn and not be taken advantage of. So it's going to be really cool, man. And I said, we're going to have, the best talent, man. It's going to be an active community. We got something coming called, you ever hear of the Better Business Bureau? He said, yeah. I said, what do you go to the Better Business Bureau for? He said, yeah, to see what other people are saying about a business and how it's rated. I said, imagine a better token bureau. He's like, get the hell. Yeah, man. Yeah, dude. This is going to be so incredible what we put together, but we're giving people the ability to up their crypto game. And even what I just told you is a small piece of the affiliate program. Now, you asked me about the whale status and how do I get all these extra tokens, man? We have this cool 3-level affiliate program. Everybody, when they start off, it's just a few levels, but it's a way for you to juice up your bank, if you will, of Solana tokens, because you're paid in tokens. So as you refer other people, you'll start off, and I just wrote the numbers down real quick. Level 1, 20%, level 2, 15, level 3, 15%. He was like, that's really generous. I said, it is. But for the people who want to go out and really take it to the next level, we got a few ranks for them, man. We got a DGen rank, so they'll get a raise here. We then have a hodler rank as they start becoming a leader, so they get more of a raise, and then they can go to that whale thing that I mentioned, man. And that whale thing, man, they're up to 25, 20, and 35%. And I said, the cool thing about that, you have some network marketing experience. The cool thing is the biggest percentage you ever get paid in network marketing normally is what you do personally, but it's not off of where you have the most people. Guys, as you notice this, we're paying more on the 3rd level than on the 1st level by the time you get the whale, because that's where the majority of your people are going to be. We're giving you the most amount of tokens off the most amount of activity. This is what I'm talking about massive accumulation of it. And here's the best part. The people who come out the gate and do this the fastest, they'll be getting their commissions at probably the cheapest price that Solana will ever be, which means as Solana becomes more valuable, those commissions you're getting paid today could 2x, 3x, 5x, 10x, 50x, just how long you want to hold it, man, how long you want to go for the ride. He was like, I am so in this thing, man. So in this thing. You gotta give me a link. Now, I said something to him that you guys would not say in that situation. I said, well, hey, man, I'm part of the core team. I can't build a team, but I will get you the link of our master distributor, and you can sign up, and then we can talk about a plan for you, right? Right now, we're in a pre-build. We're about to launch this in a couple of weeks, but this gives you the ability to talk to people about it, get them excited, sign them up for free. People like to get positioned for free, build a big giant team for free, and then when we turn it on and everybody has to pay, what do you get? And he was like, an explosion of commissions. I said, yeah, not an explosion of money, an explosion of Solana commissions, which is even better than an explosion of money. He was like, oh, bro, love it, man. So I said, listen, bro, make your list, make your plan, make your fortune, and I'm going to get you that link. And that was it. So I got to tell you guys something, man. When I was telling somebody that story and they said, you should share that because people would get a lot of benefit out of that, I had to put this together, man, and share it with the community, because I want you guys to know that all we literally think about every single day is how can we help the community the most? How can we empower the community the most? how can we actually get people to up their knowledge level, up their game, up their skill set the most, so they can go out there and they can most effectively spread this word. Because as they spread the word, the people that are in the community right now, you guys are the pioneers. You're going to benefit the most. So, guys, I don't know if that was helpful to you. Maybe you guys can let me know in the Telegram group. Dave, I'm gonna stop sharing right now, brother.
Yeah, man.
And get back to it. And I'll just go see here, man. I mean, again, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. If it was helpful, you guys let me know. But again, wanted to make sure you guys understood what was going on so you can actually understand the deal and have that. So Dave, with that said, man, I'm gonna turn the call back to you. I know you may have been in the